Hello and welcome to another video with Testura. In this video we're going to look at how you can create your own test automation framework in C# with Testura. You will learn how to set up your Visual Studio project, how to install the required NuGet packages, how to write tests with NUnit, and how to structure your project with page object design pattern and dependency injection. And at the end you will have the base structure of test automation framework, 3 different views, and 1 test. But just a couple of words about the design. In the design we built a fluent API. That means that you will be able to call all mesh methods in a sequence. The main class will be the application class, that is the start point and owner of all views. And then it will be the views. We use a wrappers of all or parts of the functionality on a view in your application. But let's start. So I have just started my Visual Studio project and Android emulator, but the regular device works just as well. And for this video we will create a test automation framework for the contact application inside Android, and we will focus mostly on the add contact. So for example, when you just add something here and save it and deleting. But let's start with the project. So you go to File, New Project, which is C#. Gonna create a class library. Let's call it Contact Automation. We can remove this first class. Then we're gonna need a project for the test. So right click on the solution, add, new project, test, unit test project. Let's call it contact automation tests. And now we have both projects ready. Now it is time to install all the required NuGet packages. So go to the main project and references it and manage NuGet packages. And then to browse and search for Testura. So we're gonna use the page object packages. We accept. And for our test project we're gonna use NUnit. So go to NuGet packages, search for NUnit and install. Also install the test adapter. And here we go. We're also gonna need to add a reference from our test project to our main project. So right click references, add reference, and click. And now we are done. So now it's time to start our first test. So go to your test project, add class, let's call it add contact test. As this is an NUnit, we're going to need a test fixture attribute. We're also going to have a setup method. That is just going to be run one time, so one time setup. And then we have our tests. So we're going to start with something simple like there we go. So let's just see how we want this now. We're gonna need something like this. So app, we're also gonna need some kind of setup, and then in our test we're gonna want something like this. Let's just add this. No. Then we're gonna want something like something to Robert. So this should be our base for now. But to start with, we're gonna need to create the contact application class. So let's create our contact application class. Right click, add class, and contact application. The contact application will first inherit from something called application inside Testura. I will show you later why. And it will also inherit from an interface that we call iContact application views. Let's create this one. And the first thing that we're gonna need is the setup method. So we create a method called setup, and in this method we wanna create a new device. So let's do we also want to do another couple of things. And here it is, dependency injection. I'm going to provide a link if you haven't heard of it before. It's good to read up about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to, inside our container, we're going to register first the device. We're also going to register ourselves as iContact application views. And finally we're going to use a couple of methods from the base class. We're going to use register view dependencies and solve view dependencies. So what's happening here is that when we register view dependencies, the class will go through all the views that we have. Currently we have none, but if it finds a view, it will register it in the container. And when we call on solve view dependencies, it will look at the view and see if it requires a device or iContact application views, and then create the object. I will show you later how. So let's go back to the test. Now we have something ready. So let's see if we can build this. So we're gonna go there, then we're gonna add a test attribute on this one so we can find it. Let's build the solution. And here we have our test. So let's try to run it. And it's green. It means our setup is now correct. So next thing we're gonna do is to create a start method. I will also like to add before we start on the start method that you can change your configuration in your contact application now. So if you go to device configuration and change should install dependency to false, because when it's true it will always install all the dependencies on your device, and it will just take a couple of extra seconds. It just isn't necessary anymore. So set it to false. Now let's start with the start method. So first create a method The method should do two things. For starter, it should go to the main activity, and two, it should return the main activity view. So for first, we're gonna turn the main view. Let's create this class. Let's move it. Let's create a new folder for this. Views. For the next part is the activity. There are a couple of different ways to get the activity package for your application, but the easiest one is just to do like this. So you get the device, activity, get current. So you just do like this, return null for now, put a breakpoint here, go to your test, and in your emulator, simply start application, and then debug. Now you should get a name, and here is the package and the activity. So take this string, copy it somewhere, or even easier, just copy it here, close this, and then you go device, activity, start. Then I have the package name, and we're gonna have the activity name. And then it will ask if we wanna force stop the activity. Now let's do that, but we're not gonna clear any tasks. And let's try and see if this works. So let's go out from the application, run the test, and let's see if we get into the application again. And we do, so that's perfect, it works. And for the next one, we're gonna create the main view. But before we start with the main view, we're gonna need a view base class. Let's go to class and create contact view. This one is gonna inherit from view. It's a Testura class. In the constructor, we're gonna take the iContact application views, and we're gonna create a property that's protected. This is so we can access all the different views inside the application. This makes it easier when we're doing the view on the API. So go to the main view again. Let's inherit from the contact view. And implement the missing. We're also gonna require that all classes that implement this class should implement the exist method. The exist method will check if we are on the correct place in the application. Now we can go to the main view, and inherit from contact view. So first thing we're gonna need now is to know which kind of UI objects exist on the page. To do this, you have to use the SDK from Google. So if you have an Android SDK, go to Tools and the UI Automator Viewer. And then in your emulator or device, go to the application and click on the Take UI. Oh, sorry, my bad. Let's stop this. There we go. Now we can find all the different objects on the page. So for the ID, I'm gonna use this toolbar here. So ID, device, here we go. So now we have an UI object. Then we're gonna check if it's visible, and if it's not, then we're gonna throw an exception. Could not find main view. I would recommend to create a new custom exception too, because this is so broad. Then if we were to go back to the test, go to contact, create method. First we're gonna check if they exist, and then we're gonna click on this add contact button. So we do a add contact button. Resource ID. If I remember correctly. Let me see. Yes. Let's create this object. Let's make it read only. Inside here, we're gonna do add contact button, click. And we want to return the add contact view. Let's return null for now. And now we can try to run the test. So if we go to the test, close this, and we'll try to run it. Now we can see that we're inside the add contact view. Perfect. The next thing to do is to do the add contact view. So the first thing we're gonna do is to add the add contact view to the contact application view interface. Then we're gonna make it implement the contact view class. And create the exist method. So let's check. What we should use for ID in this view. It doesn't have a lot of things to use, So we're gonna use something not that good, but it works. We're gonna use this here. So ID, and then we're gonna use let's use the index too. There we go. And then we can just copy this one. There we go. Then we're gonna create the add contact method. And we're just gonna take a name for now. But we're gonna need this text box. So let's go with name text box. What we're gonna do is check if the page exists, and then we're gonna send the keys, in this case the name, and when we are done we're gonna return the contact view. Now let's see that. No, this is not. Let's change the name on this. Let's call it contacts view instead. Then we add a new this contact view. There we go. Let's return null for now. In the main view, oh actually, we're gonna go with views and add contact view here. Let's actually rename this to application. There we go. Now let's try to run this test. And it should write to the text box. Yeah, that's good. Now we should also click on the button. So it's this one. Does it have class? Let's try to run it again. There we go. We added the robot. Really nice. Let's remove them for now. Let's keep this one. So the next thing we're gonna do is to do the contact view and see that we actually created something. So now we're finally gonna do the contact view. So we go to the contact view, we implement the contacts view. We're gonna create an ID. Of this we're gonna use this one. Resource ID. And for the test, I'm gonna do something like get contact name. Let's return an string. So we're gonna get the name text. Resource ID. Let's call it name label instead. And here we're simply gonna return name label values dot text. We also need to add the contact view to the interface. And the add contacts view should return it correctly. So now in our test, we can save the name. We can assert that we get Robert back. So now let's try to run the test. First we can delete this Robert. And here we go. And the test pass. Everything looks fine. Perfect. So for final touch we can simply create a teardown method. For example that close the UI server. There we go. Oh, sorry, not unused directives. And there we go. We made the base of a simple test automation framework. You can keep on building if you want, and I hope you learned something by viewing this. Thanks for viewing. Goodbye.